In episode 148 of Soul Land 2, Du Buxi, the level 99 Body Douluo, met his end in a self-detonation. Before dying, he entrusted Huo Yuhao with the ultimate secret manual of the Body Sect. Through Tang Wutong advanced to Titled Douluo, Huo Yuhao was only one step away from the same realm. All he lacked was the formation of his soul core. That moment, he and Tang Wutong joined the operation to assassinate Xu Tianran. Once Huo Yuhao arrived, the White Tiger Duke publicly announced a plan called Operation Emperor's End. Target was Xu Tianran, and the strike was set for 7 days later during the Sun Moon Empire's Grand Heaven Worship Ceremony. 15 Titled Douluo would be split into 2 groups. One team would attack the military armory in the eastern outskirts of Radiant City as a diversion, while the other, led by top-tier Super Douluo, would use the chaos to launch a lightning-fast assassination on Xu Tianran. The White Tiger Duke then handed command of the operation to Huo Yuhao, instantly provoking dissatisfaction from the Titled Douluo of the Dou Ling Empire, who thought he was far too young. But Du Buxi and the Titled Douluo of the Star Luo Empire fully backed him. The level 97 Tianyang Douluo openly expressed his displeasure at having to follow Huo Yuhao's orders, yet Du Buxi warned him not to underestimate the young man. He pointed out that the aura of a mere 7-ring soul sage was only a surface illusion. Huo Yuhao's spiritual power was vast as the sea, and his true strength went far beyond what appeared on the outside. In Du Buxi's eyes, letting him command the infiltration was the safest possible choice. Early the next morning, Du Buxi publicly declared that once they entered Radiant City, everyone would obey Huo Yuhao's commands without condition. Huo Yuhao immediately released his spiritual power. Ignoring the instinctive resistance of the gathered Titled Douluo, he completed a full spiritual link with all of them, granting everyone a synchronized 360-degree long-range 3-dimensional field of perception. Every expert present was stunned. Even Du Buxi was amazed by the depth of Huo Yuhao's spiritual power, and could not help lamenting that he had failed to take him as a disciple. Once the mission began, he gave Huo Yuhao the highest praise. As someone born in the Body Sect, a sect deeply versed in spiritual cultivation, Du Buxi possessed unfathomable insight. With only a brief contact with Huo Yuhao's spiritual fluctuations, he accurately judged that his mastery had already reached the level of a Titled Douluo. He was fully qualified to take part in the mission. Even the Body Sect's core inheritance, when it came to the use of spiritual power, still fell short of the young man before him. At the same time, the 15 Titled Douluo received exclusive flight paths directly in their minds through the shared spiritual network. Every route was different. Once they rose into the air according to those paths, they naturally formed a circular formation, protecting Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong in the center. That precise multitasking control made Du Buxi voice his admiration once again without restraint. The moment everyone accelerated upward, the air around them twisted faintly. 17 figures instantly vanished into the atmosphere without leaving the slightest trace. Titled Douluo could no longer see their companions with their eyes, but through spiritual detection sharing, they could still pinpoint every single person with perfect accuracy. The jarring contrast between visual blindness and mental clarity shocked everyone. Du Buxi tried probing with his full spiritual sense, but even he, one of the greatest Body Douluo alive, could only barely catch a faint trace of spiritual fluctuation by relying on the precise coordinates from the shared network. As for the other Titled Douluo, even Tianyang Douluo could not sense his companions at all. That mass invisibility alone completely erased any lingering contempt toward Huo Yuhao. Everyone understood that with this ability, whether they were infiltrating or retreating, the mission's safety would increase tremendously. During the flight, Huo Yuhao kept extending the range of his spiritual detection from 3,000 meters at the start all the way to 10,000 meters. Du Buxi could not help exclaiming that his spiritual power had already reached the level of a Super Douluo. Huo Yuhao only replied modestly that he was relying on soul skills to compensate, but every Titled Douluo present knew full well that something like this could never be achieved through soul skills alone. No one dared look down on him anymore. Even Huo Yuhao himself was surprised by the growth of his spiritual power. Through 2 years of focused cultivation and a mind that had fully opened, his spiritual strength had risen rapidly under the support of his soul core. On top of that, having once gained the acknowledgement of the god of emotions, his consciousness had undergone a qualitative transformation, stepping into the threshold of half-divine awareness. With spiritual force far beyond ordinary limits, he accurately detected the dense network of surveillance soul tools along the Sun-Moon Empire's border and guided everyone up to an altitude of 6,000 meters, avoiding every detection zone. Even level 93 Titled Douluo found that height exhausting, yet Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong remained calm the entire time, all while he continued controlling everyone's routes. That display completely won over the experts present, and even Shrek Academy's standing rose with it in their eyes. After flying for 4 hours, Huo Yuhao led everyone down into a dense forest near Radiant City. He ordered them to rest and wait, planning to infiltrate the city after dusk. Dou Ling looked at Huo Yuhao with open amazement. By now, every Titled Douluo present had begun to treat this young man in his 20s as an equal. Once darkness had fully fallen, Huo Yuhao used his precise spiritual detection to locate a gap in Radiant City's defenses and led everyone silently into the city. After entering the urban area, he immediately returned command authority. Dou Ling then arranged disguises and divided everyone into groups. He placed Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong in his own team, while the others also changed their appearances and split up according to plan, settling in separately and familiarizing themselves with the city. Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong did not bother with complicated disguises. They simply used simulation soul skills to subtly alter the details of their appearances. Tang Wutong's naturally striking beauty became plain and gentle. Following Dou Ling, the two walked out of a narrow alley and openly checked into a mid-range hotel in Radiant City. That time, Radiant City was more prosperous than ever. Xu Tianran had gained overwhelming prestige in the empire by conquering large portions of the Heavenly Soul Empire's territory. After Juzi gave birth to the Prince Xu Yunhan, the child was declared crown prince as soon as he was a month old, silencing all doubts from the royal clan. Xu Tianran deliberately elevated Juzi's image, shaping her into a legendary empress general born from the common people. Rumors spread among the citizens that it was only because of her pregnancy that she had halted her campaigns. Yet the real reason she stood so firmly in power was her undeniable military talent, which had already earned the complete respect of the Sun-Moon Empire's armed forces. After getting settled, Huo Yuhao informed Dou Ling, then took Tang Wutong out for a walk through the streets. In private, Tang Wutong asked whether he wanted to investigate the mission's true purpose, but Huo Yuhao was strangely calm about it. He knew that aside from Dou Ling and Tianyang Douluo, most of the others had no idea what the final objective truly was. With Tang Wutong by his side, his only wish now was for the two of them to return safely. He did not want to ask about anything else. Those words deeply moved her. The two quietly shared their feelings by the roadside, and the atmosphere between them became especially warm. Just then, a squad of Imperial guards charged down the street with brutal arrogance. Pedestrians hurriedly moved aside. Huo Yuhao shielded Tang Wutong and stepped to the roadside, even pretending they had been jostled so as not to expose his cultivation. From the surrounding chatter, the two learned that Xu Tianran was about to hold the heaven worship ceremony. Huo Yuhao became even more convinced that assassinating a ruler whose foundation was now so stable was nearly impossible. Through returning to the hotel, Huo Yuhao received a voice transmission from Dou Ling. He told Tang Wutong to return to her room first, then went alone to Dou Ling's quarters. With a wave of his hand, Dou Ling cast an isolation barrier so complete that even Huo Yuhao's spiritual detection could not penetrate it. Then he confessed the truth. The attack on the armory and the assassination of Xu Tianran were only the surface of the operation. He and Tianyang Douluo had also arranged a deeper, more secret core mission known only to the two of them. Even the White Tiger Duke had not been informed beforehand. He had no intention of letting Huo Yuhao take part in that most dangerous mission. Instead, he asked only one thing of him. Once the operation was over, Huo Yuhao was to receive and guide all the participating Titled Douluo, doing everything possible to help them retreat safely. Huo Yuhao agreed without hesitation. Then Dou Ling took out a golden booklet and handed it to him. On the cover were the words "The Secret of the Body." It was the Body Sect's most important inheritance manual, passed down only to each successive sect master. Huo Yuhao was deeply shaken and immediately tried to return it, but Dou Ling refused with a wave of his hand and slowly revealed the reason. In the previous border war with the Sun Moon Empire, the Body Sect had lost 2/3 of its elite forces. Nearly the entire younger generation with the greatest potential had died as well. The sect's name now rested on his shoulders alone. Once he died, the Body Sect would inevitably begin to decline. He openly admitted that it had been his own arrogance and short-sightedness that caused the sect to drift away from the era of soul tool development, which was how it had fallen into its current state. If he died in battle, he asked Huo Yuhao to return the manual to the Body Sect. Until then, Huo Yuhao was free to read it. His only request was that if one day the Body Sect was completely destroyed by war, then Huo Yuhao, who also possessed a body soul, should help continue the inheritance of that martial path. As Huo Yuhao accepted the manual, his heart grew heavy. He could clearly feel that Dou Ling was entrusting the future like a man already prepared to die. He also understood that behind the Body Sect's despair lay the cruel truth that the heavenly Soul Empire was already on the brink of destruction. Through returning to his room, he told Tang Wutong everything. Both of them could only sigh at the weight of it all. When he opened the manual, the first thing he saw was a handwritten confession from Dou Ling himself. This supreme expert, who had dominated the world of soul masters for more than 200 years, calmly admitted his own mistakes and even pointed toward the future direction of combining body souls with soul tools. Suppressing the complicated emotions in his chest, Huo Yuhao continued reading this manual that carried within it the rise, fall, and inheritance of the entire Body Sect. 5 days later, the heaven worship ceremony finally arrived. Radiant City was cloaked in a grim and murderous atmosphere. Most businesses had shut their doors, and the main roads were lined with guards every few steps. 100,000 soldiers tightly controlled order throughout the city. In the southern outskirts, a grand sun-moon altar had already been erected. 7 platforms corresponded to 7 colors, and 4 soul tool strongholds manned by the Royal Soul Engineer Legion had been established around it. Millions of citizens gathered outside the altar, waiting to witness the spectacle. As the sun climbed high, Xu Tianran's imperial carriage slowly arrived under heavy escort. He wore the ceremonial robes of an emperor, with Zhu Zi at his side. Soldiers and citizens alike shouted blessings of 10,000 years along the route. By launching war to divert internal tensions and then securing glory through expansion, Xu Tianran had fully stabilized his throne. His ambition had now swelled to the extreme. Through this heaven worship ceremony, he intended to declare to the world that he would become the eternal emperor who unified the continent. Once the ceremony ended, he would launch a full holy war. Zhu Zi maintained a perfect smile the entire time, but inwardly she saw everything with complete clarity. Both she and the crown prince were nothing more than tools in Xu Tianran's hands. Even the prince was not truly Xu Tianran's biological son. When the imperial carriage stopped before the altar, Xu Tianran led Zhu Zi down. But when they reached the 6th platform, he released her hand and climbed alone to the 7th and highest level. Standing at the very top of the altar, Xu Tianran's eyes burned with fanaticism. In his mind, only he was worthy of such a supreme position. As horns sounded and ceremonial cannons roared one after another, the heaven worship ceremony officially began. Yet mixed into the thunder of the salute came strange disturbances from the eastern outskirts. Sharp-eyed observers immediately realized that something was wrong. The Sun Moon Empire's largest armory in the east was under heavy bombardment. Hand in hand, Huo Yuhao and Tang Wutong led 10 Titled Douluo. Using simulation soul skills and a spiritual interference domain, they covered the deployment of 10 Zhuge divine crossbow cannons and completed multiple volleys of bombardment, successfully carrying out the diversion. Tianyang Douluo then withdrew with the others according to plan. Huo Yuhao swiftly packed away the equipment and, relying on the extreme speed of a Class 9 flying soul tool, took Tang Wutong with him and broke through the Sun Moon Empire's pursuit blockade. They finally landed on a hill more than 100 li away. That very moment, the sky above the southern altar suddenly darkened. Heavy clouds swallowed the sunlight, and millions of citizens fell into panic. Then Dou Buxi's voice rang across the entire area. He appeared in the form of a gigantic green titan 100 zhang tall and declared before all that he had come to execute justice on Xu Tianran in the name of heaven. Xu Tianran immediately ordered the altar's defensive barrier activated, but a savage slaughter erupted all around the platform at the same instant. For Super Douluo from the Body Sect launched their attack from within the crowd, and the scene descended into total chaos. Then Long Xiaoyao, the Lnad Douluo, appeared. He tried to persuade Dou Buxi to stop, but Dou Buxi mocked him openly for helping evil thrive. The two immediately clashed high in the sky. Dou Buxi directly ignited the fire of his life, his body swelling to 300 zhang as his cultivation was forcibly driven to the level of a level 99 Lnad Douluo. He even declared that he would detonate his soul core and drag everyone present down with him. Watching from 100 li away, Huo Yuhao instantly understood why Dou Buxi had entrusted him with the sect's manual. At the same time, he suddenly realized something even more terrifying. If millions of civilians died here, the massive sea of dead souls would only allow the Holy Ghost Church to grow stronger. Ignoring Tang Wutong's attempt to stop him, he immediately turned into a streak of light and shot toward the altar. Long Xiaoyao fought with everything he had to stop Dou Buxi, but he still could not suppress an opponent burning away his own life. Xu Tianran, standing atop the altar, remained calm from beginning to end. He had already seen through the Holy Ghost Church's plan to profit from the chaos. Ignoring the protests of those under him, he ordered Radiant City's high-energy beam weapon to activate. Hidden in the shadows, Yi Shishui and the members of the Holy Ghost Church had indeed been watching coldly all along, waiting to harvest the millions of souls that would be born from the massacre. They had no intention of intervening. Dou Buxi privately admitted to Long Xiaoyao that his origin had already been damaged in the earlier war, and that he did not have long left to live. This time, he had come to use his own life to pin down the Sun Moon Empire, Long Xiaoyao, and the Holy Ghost Church's core forces, creating the chance his companions needed to complete their mission. After saying those final words, he abruptly compressed his massive body, condensing all his power into his soul core and preparing for one last self-destruction. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support really helps the channel grow and means a lot to me.